In 509 BCE, Rome plunged into total chaos. A rape, a betrayal, and in a few days, a king vanished. A new regime was born. How could a single night bring down the monarchy and create the most famous republic in history? At the turn of the centuries, when the year 509 before our era still loomed as an uncertain future, Rome was only one city among others in Latium. But already, beneath the veil of time, it trembled. On the left bank of the Tiber, the river rolled its heavy, gleaming waters, which came to lick a chain of dark heights. 7 hills rose like 7 sentinels. The Capitoline, steep, where the rocks dominated the valley. The Palatine, cradle of the ancient huts. The Esquiline, wide and already encroaching on the marshes. The Caelian with its gentle slopes. The Aventine, turned toward the countryside. The Quirinal and the Viminal, which extended the city northward. Between these elevations, water stagnated in winter in the hollows. The mist rose, thick, hostile. But beneath the mud and the plague, a force was taking shape. 25 stades away, the Tyrrhenian Sea breathed slowly. Its winds moved back up the course of the Tiber, laden with spray and threats. In the distance, on the shore, Etruscan ships played with the waves, heavy with goods, metals, symbols of power. Rome kept its distance from this sea, neither maritime nor entirely terrestrial, a lock set in the middle of Latium, on the road that led from the coast into the interior, between hills, marshes, and fertile plains. Around it, other flames had long burned. Alba Longa, the ancient metropolis that, so they say, engendered Rome by the hand of Romulus and Remus. Tusculum, perched on its heights, watched over the valleys. Aricia, on the edge of the sacred lake, guarded its woods and its roads. Farther away, Etruscan cities glittered like mighty islets. Veii, set on its plateau, watched the Tiber upstream. Tarquini spread out its sumptuous, silent, painted tombs. Caer whispered the secrets of the sea and distant markets. To the east, on the harsh slopes of the Apennines, the Sabines descended with their herds, tough and tenacious. To the south, the Volsci held to the edges of the Pontine marshes, warriors quick to raid and ambush. Rome was not alone. It was surrounded, observed. Each city, each people weighed the others, calculated, concluded pacts and broke them, tested its gods and its spears. Latium was a chessboard, and Rome was still only one piece among others. But already, its outlines were hardening. Above this human stir, memory kept the thread of the kings. The ancients told that Romulus, son of Mars, first drew the sacred furrow on the Palatine in the year 753 before our era, according to the reckoning that later annalists would retain. After him, 6 other kings followed in succession, up to the one who still reigned, Tarquin, called the Proud. Between these two ends, a century and a half unfolded, shaped by weapons, alliances, sacrifices, plots. On the eve of 509, this royal chain weighed heavily. It bore the city, structured it, but it also began to stifle it. For in Rome, the king was not a god born to command. In the memory of the laws, he was a supreme magistrate. His office lasted a lifetime, but in principle, it did not pass from father to son like a herd or a field. When a king died, power emptied out. Time hung suspended. The priests watched the sky. The city held its breath. Then the people gathered in the Comitia Curiata, divided into 30 ancient curiae, each of which kept the weight of its ancestors. There, the Rex was chosen. The crowd acclaimed, voted, designated. But that gesture did not suffice. The elders, the patres, those fathers of lineage who made up the Senate, had to ratify. Without their assent, the king was only a shadow. Once admitted, this king seized the imperium. He commanded the legions, raised the armies, led the cohorts along the stony roads of Latium. He presided over the assemblies, gave the floor, took it back, submitted laws to the voice of the people, or claimed to do so. He sat in judgment, deciding disputes over fields, debts, blood, from a chair where the eyes of the plaintiffs rose to him in fear. And, according to certain traditions, he was also the High Pontiff, the Pontifex Maximus, guardian of rights, master of sacrifices, the one who knew when to offer a bull, when to slaughter a pig, when to appease the gods with blood and smoke. Facing him, the Senate stood like an assembly of ancient roots. 100, 200, 300 men depending on the period, recruited from the great patrician gentes, those families that boasted of having witnessed the city's first days, of having fed its wolves and its oracles. They advised, warned, sometimes resisted. Their voice had no force of law, but it had the weight of custom. Without them, the king is alone. With them, he must take heed. Below, the people assemble in curiate comitia, those 30 curiae each bearing a name, a history, a domestic hearth. They grant the king his imperium through a sacred law, the lex curiata de imperio. They decide certain rights, a few family matters, adoptions, wills. But the immense mass of citizens, those called the plebs, is kept at a distance, for the city is divided. The patricians, patrici, hold the keys to the temples, monopolize the great offices, control the bridges between men and the gods. They occupy the seats of the Senate, dominate war, justice, the sacred calendar. Facing them, the plebs is not a herd of foreigners. They are citizens, but citizens without full share. They own land or scrape by without owning any. They serve in the ranks. They shed their blood on the battlefields. But their rights are uncertain, their voices weak, their access to honors locked. At the end of the monarchy, this division is no longer just a habit. It becomes a burning wound. Over this already torn Latin city, another shadow looms, that of Etruria. In the 6th century, Rome looks northward and discovers not savages there, but a richer, older, more self-assured civilization. Etruscan tombs are carved into the rock, painted in bright colors, covered with banquets, chariots, games. Their craftsmen forge gold fibulae, engrave letters on bronze, sculpt thrones and scepters. From there come symbols that Rome adopts, as one dons an imperial cloak too large for it. The fasces of the lictors, bundles of rods bound around an axe, which precede the magistrate and speak silently of punishment and power. The curule chair, a seat with curved legs, on which one sits not as a simple citizen, but as one who commands. The purple toga, a heavy drape that wraps the king's body like a blood-red flame. One day, legend says, a man from those Etruscan lands crossed Rome's gates. He is called Tarquin the Elder, Tarquinius Priscus. His name already carries the echo of Tarquinia. He is not born of the old Latin gentes, he comes from elsewhere, but the city accepts him, celebrates him, and with him it changes its face. Under his reign, the Forum, until then a simple muddy hollow between the hills, begins to transform. They dig, drain, channel the pestilential waters. A vast cloaca, a monumental sewer that tradition will christen the Cloaca Maxima, opens its stone belly beneath the Romans' feet. The marshes retreat. The ground hardens. Above this dried wound, they lay paving stones, mark out places for markets, debates, triumphs. Rome acquires a heart. In those years, war also forges the soul of the city. Tarquin the Elder strengthens the armies, refines discipline, launches campaigns against his neighbors, subdues, rallies, imposes treaties. Rome's borders swell, the standards return laden with booty. The city grows in wealth, but also in appetite. Eyes turn toward the neighboring hills, toward the roads linking Latium to Etruria, toward the plains where other people's herds graze. After him, another king, still bearing the stamp of Etruria, but rooted in Roman soil, ascends the throne. Servius Tullius. His origin is lost in the mist of stories. Some say he was born a slave, others a child of a divine flame. It does not matter. What counts is the new order he imposes. He does not content himself with governing the city as he finds it. He measures it, classifies it, divides it. He counts the men, their wealth, their weapons. He establishes a census. Henceforth, citizens are bound not only by their curiae and their lineages, but by the fortune they declare and the arms they can provide. Servius thus groups the people into census-based classes. Those who possess the most provide the most weapons, pay the most taxes, but also gain the greatest weight in the new assemblies, the centuriate comitia. He draws 5 great classes and even distinguishes the wealthiest, those who ride on horseback, the equites, noble horsemen who form the mobile tip of the army. Each person receives a place in centuries, units that vote and fight. Henceforth, serving in the ranks and voting in the assembly converge. The city conceives of itself as an army in battle order. In the same movement, he outlines urban and rural tribes across the territory. The city is no longer just a sum of inhabited hills. It is a structured space, divided for taxation, conscription, administration. Around Rome, the countryside is integrated, recorded, controlled. Each man knows to which tribe he belongs, by which route he must answer the call of the drums. In this Rome that is becoming denser, the stones rise. The Forum becomes a theater of power. On the Capitol, they prepare the foundations of a temple that memory will never cease to venerate, that of Jupiter very good, very great, Jupiter Optimus Maximus, the thunder-gazing god who protects the city. Under the Tarquins, they dig its foundations, raise its columns, sculpt its pediments. Wood, tile, and stone are combined, and, in the minds of the Romans, an image takes shape. That of a city that is no longer a village of huts, but a center where gods and men converse face to face. Religion, everywhere, frames this world. Before every decision, they raise their eyes. The augurs, draped in their togas, use their curved staffs to draw sacred zones in the sky. The birds fly, circle, cry out. Their path, their song, their silence, everything is a sign. Without favorable auspices, no war, no appointment of a king, no great undertaking is legitimate. The Flamines maintain the cults of specific gods. The pontiffs oversee the rites, count the favorable and unfavorable days, ensure that the words of the prayers remain intact, that no one corrupts them. Already, at the end of the monarchy, these colleges exist, even if their future organization will take shape mainly under the Republic. But the principle is clear. Power bows before the sacred, and the sacred, in return, legitimizes power. Yet, in these years of construction and reform, a shift occurs. The last king, Lucius Tarquinius Superbus, does not ascend the throne by the peaceful paths of vote and auspice. He gains it by iron and blood. Tradition says that he overthrows Servius Tullius, that he has him thrown into the streets, that he tramples his dying body, and that Queen Tullia, his accomplice, drives her chariot over the corpse of her own father. Whatever the exact detail, in Roman memory, the change is brutal. The king is no longer the magistrate chosen and ratified. He becomes the one who seizes power. Under Tarquin the Proud, the Senate gradually loses its voice. The patres are summoned only when it suits him. Some are eliminated, others neglected. The seats that become vacant are no longer filled. The Council of Fathers shrinks, its ranks erode. The king governs without looking back, relying on his relatives, on his sons, on a handful of loyal followers. The ancient rules grow fragile. Royal majesty, already heavy, turns into tyranny. Yet Tarquin is not an inactive king. He continues the great building projects, pushes for the completion of the Temple of Jupiter Capitolinus, multiplies the infrastructure works that fill the city with the sounds of hammers and pickaxes. He wages campaigns against the Latins, against the Volsci. He besieges, deceives, subdues. The city of Gabii falls, it is said, by ruse more than by force. Thanks to him, Rome asserts itself in the region. But this external triumph carries an internal cost. For while the walls rise, while the roads stretch like veins of stone across Latium, the Roman aristocrats feel their power slipping away. They see the king deciding alone, without consulting them. They see their sons shut out from honors, their voices stifled. In the depths of patrician houses, in the atriums where hearths burn, murmurs arise, resentments pile up. The name of Tarquin, once a sign of greatness, begins to arouse fear, contempt, hatred. At the same time, around Rome, the balance of power shifts. The Etruscan cities look at the city with attention. Some support it, others fear it. Veii, in particular, observes this outpost of Latium with the gaze of a rival who could become an enemy. The Latins, for their part, oscillate between alliance and mistrust. Treaties, fodera, are concluded. They will be renewed later as well, like that famous agreement that tradition will date to 493, the Fodius Cassianum. Already, however, at the end of the 6th century, everyone knows that the fate of Latium will be partly decided in Rome. The young city is too robust, too ambitious to remain a simple city among others. The tensions that smolder leave traces not only in hearts. They mark the soil, the walls, the tombs. Future archaeology, digging through these ancient layers, will uncover breaks, changes in urban planning, traces of destruction, reorganizations of public and sacred spaces. Without telling the whole story in detail, the Earth will confirm that a tipping point occurs then, that the face of Rome changes around this end of the century. When, centuries later, Livy, Dionysius of Halicarnassus, Cicero, Cassius Dio, Plutarch, and others look back on these times, they write with the distance of entire generations. They consult the annals, those dry lists of magistrates and events, read the consular fasti where, year after year, the names of the first consuls succeed the vanished kings. They question the public archives, the traditions kept in ancient houses, in the oldest families, those gentes who preserve in their loraria not only wax masks, but stories, exploits, shames. From this mixture is born a powerful but recomposed picture where legend mingles with reality. The moderns, later still, will compare these accounts with stones, with shards, with traces of fire. They will not be able to follow every step of Tarquin, nor measure every twist of the conspiracy, but they will see, through the convergence of testimonies, that around 509, something breaks. A kingship collapses, another regime is born. The date itself, 509, remains a marker more symbolic than mathematical, but it concentrates the charge of a real event, the end of a king, the appearance of another order. For Rome, on the eve of this turning point, is no longer a hesitant small town. It is already a rising power, stretched entirely toward a destiny it does not yet know, but which is being prepared in the stones of the Forum, in the height of the Capitoline, in the quivering of the Tiber, in the resentments of the patres, and in the mute anger of the plebs.